We'll all fly away together into the forever and beautiful sky.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Owie. We got my two co-hosts, Cousin Dustin, Cousin Chris. We're going to be giving our spoiler review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the last chapter in James Gunn's saga about a bunch of misfits and outcasts and badasses in space, which is the Guardians Trilogy. We're done. We've reached the end of the road. And surprise, surprise, for the movie, everyone made it out alive. We didn't lose one person. I think in every Guardians movie, we lost one person. Like in the first one, we lost Groot. Second one, we lost Yondu. The third one, no one died. Everyone made it out alive. But that wasn't without consequence, and that wasn't without tears as well. I'm not going to lie, I teared up in a few of these scenes. This was a dark movie at times, and there were some tragic things, and it tugged at my heartstrings at times. So I'll say that this movie got a lot of emotion out of me. But I already said everything I wanted to in my non-spoiler review. I'll pass it out to these guys. Who wants to go first? Give your quick thoughts on what you thought of the movie before we get into spoilers. Dustin, go ahead and go first.
I'll go. Yeah. First of all, bless you, Chris. That was cool.
At least someone
Yeah.
has respect around here, dude.
Yeah. No, I got you. No, I loved it. Loved the movie. Yeah, you're right. We were all betting. I think when we did our most anticipated of 2023, we're all betting who's gonna die in this movie, and nobody died. So that was cool. I respected that nobody had to die in this one. Thought I had my little doubts making it all about Rocket and everything like that, but it actually turned out really well. I think this is probably going to be as good as it gets from Marvel this year. Everything else is downhill from this one. And there's a great send-off to everybody, including James Gunn, as he takes over DC.
It was hilarious. Definitely like what you expect. I think all the jokes pretty much landed. Action was good. CGI was good. Just really good movie overall.
And we'll kill anyone who gets in our way.
No, not kill anyone.
Kill a few people.
Kill no people.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves.
Now you're just making it sad.
The whole movie, the whole plot is because an event that happens to Rocket right in like first 10 minutes of the movie. It's a pretty somber opening. We're introduced to the Guardians, and we do get the scene with Rocket as a little raccoon child and the High Evolutionary coming in with his grubby little hands, taking him as a baby to do crazy experiments on him. But that's what I also liked about this movie. It was a more personal story for Rocket and the Guardians. I mean, at this point in time, what can the Guardians really go up against? They've gone up against multiple super beings, Thanos. They fought a freaking planet in Ego. So it's like, what else can we put these Guardians up against that's going to wow people? Choosing a villain like the High Evolutionary as the main villain to have a more personal tie to our main characters was the smart choice, I think. I think it worked, especially for Rocket, which let's get into the villain right off the bat.
I enjoyed High Evolutionary over Kang, to be honest with you. He had a good, solid motive. He got straight to the point. He had he just wants to make everything better. He created Rocket and all these other animals. He did Counter Earth, which he thought was going to be the better Earth. He's not simple, but he's not overly empowering story-wise. He's definitely not perfect, as I'm saying. But yeah, it was just enjoyable. He's an enjoyable villain. And it matches great for the story, and it matches great against the Guardians.
Yeah, I think we all agreed when we got out of that theater that he was way better than Kang. Like I don't know if it's just more relatable or just more impact. Like we left the theater like, damn, that was a good villain. And usually, the villains are an afterthought. And there's even, I saw some little tweets or little articles saying that they should replace Kang with I can't pronounce his name, so forgive me. With Jonathan Majors, and just make him like another variant or something like that. Who knows? But just interesting takes. But I think it was cool the makeup on his character too. How his face was like, it looked like someone just took a face and just put it on. And then at the end of the movie, it kind of exposed his face at the end. So I thought that was a cool little makeup effect.
Yeah, High Evolutionary was a great villain because he was a villain. There was no sympathetic angle that we had to look for, like, oh, I could sympathize with King. He's actually really good. No, this guy was a total prick. He was an asshole who hated animals. So if you're an animal lover, this movie's gonna be hard for those people to watch. I mean, I'm not the biggest animal lover. I love animals. I love dogs because there are some pretty dark scenes revolving Rocket and his group of friends that the High Evolutionary in all the flashbacks was experimenting on. That's his whole thing.
My sacred mission is to create the perfect society.
They did say one thing about the High Evolutionary. They said that he also created some races too, not just animals and experiments. He also created like the gold people who created Adam Warlock that were featured in Volume 2. I think High Evolutionary had a role to play in creating those type of people. I was a little confused.
He created the High Priestess Aisha and then
Okay.
all that stuff. Yeah, the gold people who then created Adam Warlock. Which all right, let's talk about Adam Warlock. Can we talk about Adam Warlock?
Yeah, we might as well. Perfect transition. Go ahead, Dustin. What do you want to say about Adam Warlock?
Yeah, he was kind of. I actually like this character. He started off as a villain, then he turns out to be helpful and ends up joining the Guardians. But is it fair to say he was sort of kind of stupid?
Yes.
In a way, he was.
Oh
he
yeah.
He came out. I mean, I thought they were gonna give him again the Superman / Captain Marvel type of thing, where almighty powerful. He had the I guess the IQ of someone or lovable IQ sometimes of like Drax. Drax is not that smart at times, but it's lovable. And they kind of gave him that persona along with all his massive superpowers. But I liked it. I liked Adam Warlock. I liked what's his name? The guy that played him,
Will Poulter.
Will Poulter. Yeah, I like how he portrayed him and everything like that. He was somewhat clumsy, maybe, or doofusy. Is that that's kind of fair to say? Of a superhuman.
You say doofusy?
Doofusy. That's damn right. Look it up, buddy. It's in Webster. I don't care. I'll put it in there. Doofusy.
You know what? Doofusy, why not? There's a bunch of stupid words being made nowadays. Let's go with, he was a little doofusy, but like you said, he was like an infant stage. Like he was in a cocoon in Guardians Volume 2. We didn't get to see him get born, but the gold lady from the Volume 2, that's his surrogate mom, and he kind of just takes orders from her the whole movie. But they do show how much of a badass he is within the first like 10 minutes because he whoops the Guardians' ass. He does injure Rocket, and that's kind of the catalyst of the whole movie. Everyone's got to save Rocket because of what Adam Warlock did to him. The High Evolutionary put like a kill switch on Rocket's heart because the High Evolutionary was so obsessive with Rocket because out of all of his creations, Rocket was like the perfect being with like a perfect mind, like a genius mind. And that's why the High Evolutionary was so obsessed with Rocket. But Adam Warlock, I was a fan. Like you said in the beginning, I was kind of like, all right, he's kind of being played for comic relief, but the more comedic scenes we had with him, I was like, oh, he's just a big dumbass because he's a child, which I actually started enjoying more and more as it went on. But Chris, what did you think about the High Evolutionary?
Well, you mean Warlock, right?
Or I'm sorry, Adam Warlock. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think one thing I think that people find may be underrated is that he's pretty comic accurate. Because I know him from the comics, so at least in terms of like his costume, it's comic accurate. So I'm glad that they stuck to that. They didn't try to change it too much. Yeah, I thought it was good. It's kind of funny every time I see Will Poulter and his face. It just reminds me of that damn movie he's in with Jennifer Aniston and
We're the Millers.
And Helms. Yeah, We're the Millers, dude. I just think of him in that.
One thing I'll say, I was surprised by how powerful the High Evolutionary was because there was a scene where him and Aisha, and then also the High Priestess, and then Adam Warlock were in there, and they were arguing and everything, and with like a snap of his finger or something, High Evolutionary just starts crushing Adam Warlock against the wall, and Adam Warlock couldn't do anything. So
he had like Kang powers. Like you really couldn't tell the difference between in terms of powers, like Kang and they had like telekinesis.
Yeah, no. He like mastered. Remember, he said it. He said like he mastered the art or mastered something of gravity. So that's what it is. But yeah.
So some sort of telekinesis powers the High Evolutionary had, which made him such a powerful asshole. But Adam Warlock. I wish there was a little bit more with him. He was kind of played as the second antagonist
Mhm.
like the guy who would go hunting for the Guardians when the High Evolutionary couldn't found him. But I mean, there was a few other than like the first opening scene and then the Counter Earth scene where he's hunting him down. He really didn't do that much. But like Chris said, he's part of the Guardians crew by the end of it, which we'll get to. There's a whole new skin for the Guardians of the Galaxy by the time the movie ends, but we'll get to that.
I
But
like it. Yeah, dude, I like it.
I do like the new Guardians setup, so this won't be the last of the Guardians. But all right, so let's talk about our crew, our beloved Guardians of the Galaxy. Which character do you want to talk about first? We talked about Rocket.
okay, hold on,
Let me open this up.
Who wants to go
go ahead.
first?
I don't got much to say. So you
Chris,
guys,
Chris, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'll sum it up. Drax, hilarious, same as always. Super funny. Comedic timing is on point.
Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude?
Yeah, dude, Nebula. I know you mentioned this in your other non-spoiler review, Owie, but yeah, they definitely stepped her character up. Like usually I didn't care for her, but now like they definitely made her more of a badass, but like not overbearing. Like they did her character very well in that.
She's kind of taken over like the surrogate mother role of the Guardians, which is a huge contrast from her evolution from Guardians 1, where she was a murderous psychopath. So just to see her and the way she is now, it's like, holy shit. Her arc is almost as important as Rocket's arc in this movie for me, just to see how much she's grown. But yeah.
Whoever it was that you were in love with, it sounds more like her.
Her? That's ridiculous.
Do not bring me into this.
Knock it off!
What?
What I really wanted to talk about was I guess Zamora.
Gamora.
Gamora.
With the respect, please.
Zamora,
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
Zamora?
yeah.
The third
Who's
sister?
Dude, I did not really like her character at all, man. And I honestly, yeah, I don't know you guys think, but I think her and Star-Lord's that was probably the weakest part of the movie for me.
That's what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about the relationship / little rom-com subplot of Star-Lord and Gamora. I liked it. I don't know. You didn't like it, Chris?
No, dude, I didn't really. I get it. Like it's not the same.
I liked it because they didn't go to like the what would you call it? The cliched he's gonna fall in love with this new Gamora. No, they kind of hated each other in the beginning. So I
liked how they kept the whole respect to it's a different Gamora. It's like it's a totally different person. It's not like this amnesia thing or oh my god, I do remember now and we were in love. No, they kept it and respectfully said this is not Gamora. This is Gamora of another timeline. And no matter how much like Quill really, it was a funny scene where he sort of opened up his heart and all that stuff and told her and kind of told her how much he misses her and everything. But at the same time, she stays true to the actual new Gamora, the actual other timeline Gamora. And that played out throughout the whole movie.
There's a possibility.
I don't think so, Quinn.
Quill.
Well, what I'm trying to say is...
Peter, you know this is an open line, right?
What?
We're listening to everything you're saying.
And it is painful.
And you're just telling me now?
Even at the very end, they never, like you said, it never has that happy ending. Like she is not who she
chose her old crew over, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, because she was not the same person that film. It's a totally different person. So I like the Gamora here. It's not someone that they're gonna try and make into the old Gamora. She is the new Gamora. And yeah, she was sort of an asshole throughout the whole movie. It's kind of like a switch between Nebula and Gamora. Gamora and Nebula were like, Gamora was the good one, Nebula was the murderous one, and now you kind of switch it to where Nebula is the motheress, like always said, and then Gamora is more of the pirate / ravager, narcissistic type of person. Like she doesn't care about them; it's about her.
I'll go one further with this new Gamora. There was one point in the film where I was like, man, she's being a total bitch. And I could totally see her being, I was kind of hoping for this actually, if they would have went this route, but I kind of saw Gamora turning heel at one point. I was like, man, I kind of would like to see this Gamora turn into a villain. Like she wants nothing to do with these Guardians. I mean, that'd be a cool switch up to see this Gamora completely just turn on the Guardians. Like, these are my
she's
people.
a Ravager, and Ravagers they're pirates. They're the pirates of space, right? So there really is no, there's no good or bad. They're just there. They're pirates. So they just kind of do what they want, have their own rules.
Yeah,
So-
but like you said, yeah, I wasn't a big. I mean, I kind of was, rooting for Gamora at the end because she did become more emotional for the Guardians. But yeah, there was a point where she was just a total bitch to every single Guardian. It's like, man, I really don't like this Gamora. She's like disrespecting like our
Did you guys
friends and
want?
everything.
Did you
It's like
guys want?
it's okay for friends to disrespect each other, but you know what? You're not part of us. You don't deserve
Did you
to talk
did you
to our
guys
friends
want
like that.
Quill and Gamora to end up together at the end?
No,
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 no.
I didn't
Yeah,
want that.
good,
That's
good,
why I'm
good.
with you, Dustin. I like what they did. I like that they didn't wrap it up with a nice bow and have Star Lord find his love again. Star Lord, he needs to move on. Get over it, Star Lord. But we had Star Lord kind of ranting with Gamora and Nebula. He's kind of explaining everything that happened with the whole Infinity Gauntlet and everything. I think that writing was a little bit of James Gunn in there ranting for what the Russo brothers did to his characters in Infinity War and in Endgame. It's like, man, yeah, let me just recap everything that I had nothing to do a part of.
She was my girlfriend, only she doesn't remember it because it wasn't her. Because her dad threw her off a magic cliff and she died, and then I lost my temper and nearly destroyed half the universe. And she came back out of the past. There she is. Everyone else who died in the past stayed dead, not her. Why? Was it the magic cliff? I don't know. That's some freaking Infinity Stone scientist. And some dumbass Earth dude who met a girl, fell in love. That girl died. And then came back a total dick.
So that was a fun little scene. And also, fun fact, that pink girl that they held hostage in that elevator? For some reason, I couldn't take my eyes off her. Not because she was just an attractive alien girl, but I was like, man, this girl looks really familiar. And I looked into it, and she was actually played by Daniela Melchior, I think her name is, who is Ratcatcher in the Suicide Squad. So I thought that was a good little tie-in, a little DC Marvel crossover. But yeah, that whole action scene in that base, I like.
Yeah, well, speaking of tie-ins, I guess since we're talking about characters, you got Sylvester Stallone, who's a Ravager. That was like, a little rando. And then James Gunn's wife is one of the main characters on that planet.
Yeah, she gets shot in the leg by Gamora.
Yeah, that was funny.
That base, I didn't really like the base scene.
You didn't?
No, just the colors and everything. It reminded me of Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, dude, but it had like a 70s vibe, if you know.
Yeah, it had a 70s vibe, like a Brady Bunch, Willy Wonka type of thing going for it. It's like colorful and marshmallowy. That's what I would say. It's like colorful. It's like that, that bag of colorful marshmallows that you can see in the supermarket. That's what that base looked like. It looked like a colorful Easter, pastel marshmallow.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't like it.
It had like a whimsical feel to it.
Yeah,
I liked it, dude. It was cool retro vibes, and also the suits that the guards were pretty cool. They were like Michelin Man suits. You remember
yeah, they were like
marshmallowy.
Yeah, it was a weird meat outfit.
It was very marshmallowy. Michelin Man.
It was a really distinct, unique setup and style they had in that place, but compared to like Quantum Mania, where they just threw a whole bunch of colors and shit at you, some abstract things to make it seem like a different world, and it like you said in that review, Dustin, it just looked like a freaking weird wallpaper. Where
but that's how I feel about this scene too. It was just
I thought it worked.
Really
though. I thought it had this. It had a distinct feeling.
Behind it. Yeah, the thought was executed. Like there was a purpose in the world. It made sense.
It wasn't just a whole bunch of random shit thrown together to throw bright, beautiful colors at you. That's why I liked it. And plus, we had also one of my favorite scenes. It was hilarious. It was when Mantis hypnotizes that security guard to fall in love with Drax so they could sneak in. I found that part so hilarious. I've never seen Drax the Destroyer so defeated. But when Mantis told that security guard that you're hopelessly in love with Drax, and Drax just shuts down and becomes insecure. I found that one of the funniest scenes.
To me, it was like it's a continuation of the holiday special because you saw how Mantis and Drax were like really close, and obviously it was revealed that Mantis is Quill's step sister, but yeah,
not stepsister, half sister,
half sister, yeah, and then really it's like the continuation of Drax and Mantis. It's a great chemistry between those two. And with Palm and Dave Bautista, but yeah, I liked it. It was one of the better combinations of the whole movie. Those two guys going at it. It's great,
and they were paired up a lot in this movie because they know that Palm and Dave Bautista have great chemistry. So
they're basically the main characters in the holiday special. Those
Yeah.
two, they did a great job.
I mean, like one thing about Marvel that I complain a lot is the comedy, like the excess comedy in every single Marvel movie at the most inappropriate time. But for the Guardians, they're breaking out in jokes and everything like every 5 seconds. But for some reason in this world and the Guardians, it just works because every single actor and actress in this movie and this franchise has great comedic timing and has great chemistry with each other. So when they're joking around every 5 minutes, I don't mind for the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's part of their staple and it just works because all these actors, like I said, have great comedic timing. They're hilarious.
Black is for orange, yellow is for green, green is for red, and red is for yellow.
No, yellow is for yellow. Green is for red, red is for green.
I don't think so.
Try it then.
You're right.
While all of this stuff is happening, we're constantly getting flashbacks to Rocket's backstory and the friends that he made. Like he had the otter, he had the bunny who without a mouth that had like spider legs. That was probably the most tragic one out of all of them for me. Looking at that bunny just made me sad. And then we had the walrus guy. So while we're bouncing around with the adventure, we're constantly going to these flashbacks with Rocket and how he, was being used by the High Evolutionary to figure out problems and how to perfect his hybrid race in the promise that Rocket and his friends would be put on this counter Earth place to live, nice, beautiful lives, which we all know the High Evolutionary was only using Rocket and his friends as test subjects to perfect his hybrids, which he supposedly did. And he set them all to this counter Earth place, which is a planet that's supposed to mirror Earth in every way.
We got to see a family taking the Guardians. Quill tried to drive for the first time, even though he's never driven in his whole life.
That scene also had that car scene also had a big monumental achievement in the MCU universe, right, Chris? What they have?
The first F-bomb ever.
Push down on it.
What?
Push it down.
I am pushing down on it.
Push the button. It looks like you're pushing the keyhole.
The what?
There's a button under the handle. Press that in.
Okay. Now what?
Open the door.
But we also had like some funny scenes with Drax in there. He's sleeping on the couch and everything, which fun fact, Drax got to wear clothes in this movie. He got to wear clothes in this movie. I guess he's been complaining that he's sick of having his whole body being painted blue or green or whatever. And when he has that paint on and behind the scenes, he can't touch anything. He can't sit down on a chair. He can't lay down. So I think that couch scene was played up to make fun of that fact that now Drax, since he's wearing clothes and everything, he's able to do more stuff with his body and everything. So I thought that was a pretty funny Easter egg and also a way to play a comedy bit off, Dave Bautista's, situation with being painted on behind the scenes. So I thought that was a funny scene too. They go to the base and then we had the confrontation with the High Evolutionary. He is a pure villain. There's no sympathizing with the High Evolutionary. He tortures, kills, and dissects animals and humans and makes creations of his own. You know who he kind of reminded me of? He kind of reminded me of Sid from Toy Story. Remember that douchebag? How he got all of his toys and he'd make like abominations out of it. Yeah. And also the High Evolutionary being the douchebag he is, like as Quill and Nebula are traveling to the base, they're taking a look around and it's not such a perfect civilization. They're seeing like remnants from real world people. They're seeing kids getting bullied. They're seeing drug deals on the street. They're seeing violence on the streets. So obviously the High Evolutionary didn't create a perfect world. And Star-Lord calls him out. He's like, you said you wanted to create a perfect world, but I'm looking at your streets. I'm seeing drug deals. I'm seeing violence. And the High Evolutionary is like, yeah, you're right. That's why I'm blowing this bitch up. So right then and there, High Evolutionary is like, I'm blowing this place up and you guys with it. So we get our second or third big action scene where he's literally blowing up his city. Adam Warlock and Gamora are fighting. Just all chaos is breaking loose. Everyone's breaking apart. Which Groot, we haven't talked about Groot. What's our thoughts about this version of Groot? Are we a fan of this Groot buffed out steroid Groot?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm kind of neutral on him. I will say his repertoire of moves or whatever is definitely more badass because like on the ship when they're facing High Evolutionary, he can hold like 10, 15 guns through his tree branches and just starts going off. So that was pretty badass.
He could fly. He could have tree. Yeah. He has tree wings that grow out, and he turns into a freaking kaiju. He could turn into giant. So
he's definitely bigger than when we first saw him in Guardians 1.
Oh yeah,
I like that. The thing with Groot though, it's still. I mean, just because it just sounds like Vin Diesel all the damn time, right? Because it is Vin Diesel. But I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to like Groot when you can just. I don't know. It's hard to really explain. I don't like Groot about it at all.
Yeah, Groot is definitely has been my least favorite character since he's turned into a teenager. He's kind of just there, and he's kind of just there to save the Guardians because he's like the multi-purpose Guardian. He could do it all. Warlock fails once again to capture Rocket, and his mom dies, or his surrogate mother gets blown up with everyone else getting blown up. So while all this is going on, Quill and everyone gets back on the ship to save Rocket. And man, he's hanging on by a prayer. Rocket's about to die as they're taking the kill switch off. And we get the tragic backstory of how his friends died and everything. How the High Evolutionary was never going to send him and his friends to this counter-Earth place. He was just using them and their brain power or whatever, especially Rocket, who's been the genius of everything the High Evolutionary has ever done pretty much because he's so damn smart. But we get that scene with Rocket trying to escape, and then the High Evolutionary killing every one of his friends, and then you get the heaven scene where he's kind of in purgatory heaven, which I ain't gonna lie, I kind of teared up during the scene. Something about it just got to me.
Wow.
Seeing animals in heaven, it got to me. I ain't ashamed to say it. You guys could act tough. I was tearing up during the scene, but when he's saying, when he's saying to his, meeting his otter friends and everything, and they're telling him it's not your time. I would have broke down if I would have saw, which is what I wanted in this scene where he's in heaven with his friends. I wanted to see old Groot. You remember Groot who died in the first one? He's seeing all his friends who died.
I like that Groot better. I like that.
Yeah, I do like that Groot better.
And I like the baby Groot. This Groot I did not like.
But I'm saying in that heaven scene where he's saying goodbye to the otter, the rabbit, and the walrus guy, if we would have got a glimpse of the old Groot and he's like there waiting for him too, and he's like, it's not your time yet, you got to go back. That scene would have broke me if old Groot was there. But
did you cry when Harry Potter met Dumbledore in the sort of middle life tour during the last one?
No. Harry Potter
cry in every sort of
spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay, if you haven't seen Harry Potter,
come on, seriously?
Shut up.
Wow.
I haven't seen it, dude. Wow.
You guys can act tough and make fun of me for tearing up because of animals dying and everything. But I'm not going to lie. I mean, I felt it during that scene.
Okay.
It wasn't Rocket's time. It wasn't Rocket's time. They tell him it's not your time. He gets sent back to Earth, and Peter is able to, revive Rocket, and everything's good. So up until this point, I was like, okay, Rocket for sure ain't dying.
We have been running our whole lives.
Pete, I'm done running.
So yeah, let's get to the climax of everything. So now Rocket, Quill, Gamora, and Groot have to get back on the High Evolutionary ship to save Mantis, Nebula, and Drax and all that. But Nebula and Drax, Mantis, they find all the new perfection that the High Evolutionaries created. All these little blonde, like half Asian, half Caucasian kids, like the new perfection of the race that are actually like slaves in cages or whatever. It's like, oh shit, we got to save these people. So them being separated, everything kind of worked out, in the way it needed to. But we have the big action scene where they're all united on the High Evolutionary ship, trying to take them down while saving all these people. So, and we had one of the best action scenes in Marvel, in my opinion, where we had all of the Guardians. Once they get all reunited, everyone's good and alive. We had No Sleep Till Brooklyn playing in that slow-mo shot.
That was a cool scene, especially with the song. Because they made, they were like, where's Rocket at? And Rocket was left to take on a High Evolutionary, and all of a sudden they all show up.
Yeah.
That was cool. But yeah, the No Sleep to Brooklyn just put it over the top for me. That was awesome.
Yeah, plus the fight scene in that narrow hallway where you have all the Guardians together. They're all whooping ass. You get to see every single Guardian and their kind of speciality in that scene, like Star-Lord and his gadgets, Groot's just whooping everyone's ass, Gamora, her assassin skills, Drax and his power, Mantis, and Nebula was doing cool shit. Like Nebula, she was getting messed up a lot, but because she's like, made up so many parts, she could just contort her freaking body no matter what they do to her. So that was cool, man. That was a real cool scene. And it was shot in like a one take style, so it was just a creative action scene.
A lot of it in slow mo too. Yeah, hands down the best action scene of the whole movie. And I don't know what maybe tops it in the whole trilogy. I can't think back. My memory's not that good, but I don't know if you guys.
Volume 2 had a lot of good action scenes. I like a lot of scenes in Volume 2. I think, like I said this in my non-spoiler review, I think the action was the weakest for Volume 3, except for that hallway scene. But it was the story and the emotional weight to the story that really made it for me. But I think the action was way better in the first one and in Volume 2 and in Infinity War.
Overall, yeah.
But yeah, that scene was cool. And then you had Rocket's last, interaction with the High Evolutionary, you could say, where he finds his raccoon, the little raccoon gang. He finds all the little baby raccoons.
Yeah, Rocket also accepts finally that he's a raccoon because he sees a little dog tag type of thing. And it says raccoon family. So he finally accepts that he is a raccoon.
And when the High Evolutionary confronts him, and he calls him like P, like by his like test name, which is like
P189 or something.
139.
139, 189.
He goes, my name is Rocket Raccoon. So it's like the full circle. Rocket finally accepts that he's a damn raccoon and he should be proud of it. But we had that fight scene and all the Guardians come in to save him too. And
I like the reveal of High Evolutionary's face, because in the beginning of the movie you saw Rocket, before he escaped the base, he just went ape shit crazy on this guy and just attacked him. You see him screaming and all that stuff, and finally you see that scene where they pull off the mask of High Evolutionary and you see what Rocket did to his face. There's no face at all.
Yeah, it was creepy. Yeah,
it was actually really cool.
Surprised it passed the PG-13 rating, dude, on that, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. That was like a violent freaking scene and a pretty haunting.
If there's people that are fans of one of the greatest TV shows ever, Breaking Bad, and do you guys see that? Remember when the face was blown off? They blew up what's his name, Gustavo?
Yeah.
Gus and the thing, and you see half of his skull. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
This was even worse because it was just skin and nerves.
Yeah,
and he's talking too. He's like talking too. And Rocket didn't kill him. We could see the High Evolutionary come back. He could have escaped that whole ordeal, and maybe he was a Kang variant. We don't know. Maybe they'll just be like, screw it. He was a Kang variant because he was such a good villain that they could just make it up as they go. Screw it at this point. There also was a good scene with Kraglin on Nowhere. We didn't talk about Nowhere yet, which is the home base, this big celestial head, which the Guardians are in charge of Nowhere now. And they actually use it as a ship. They actually piloted Nowhere as a ship. I didn't know they could do that, but that's where Kraglin and Cosmo the dog have a role to play.
Great chemistry, by the way, between them two. There's a good, comedy kind of back and forth throughout that plays out throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, the ongoing joke of being a good dog with Cosmo, which
I want to go back a little bit to when they're saving the kids. We got to see a good, so I guess the final arc of Drax, where you got to see him talk to the kids and all that stuff, and sort of be not a dumbass, but he became like this. He remembers his time with his daughter and how he was, and he got the kids to finally listen and trust them and all that stuff. And it leads to Nebulous, at the end saying, "Hey, you weren't meant to be a destroyer. You're meant to be a dad." That was awesome. Line. Yeah, that was an awesome final arc for Drax. So we got to get that in, because that was kind of his finale.
He wasn't just a big dumbass, because they kept making fun of him for being a dumbass.
He was a dad. He was like a girl dad. He was what he was. He had like just that. Was it a daughter? Or?
Yeah, he had a daughter. His wife and daughter were killed by Ronin.
So he was a girl dad. Yeah, So you got to see where that sort of big heart comes from. He was a girl dad.
Yeah. I like that Drax didn't die either, man, because all the shit Batista was talking like, I'm done with Marvel. I'm done with Drax. I was like, they're gonna kill this guy. He didn't die either, so I was really surprised by that the most, to be honest with you. But yeah, Dustin, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts too, where Mantis says that.
Let's go to let's. I want to talk because you keep talking. You guys keep talking about death. Did you guys think Quill was gonna die in that scene?
Dude.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll skip to the very end where Quill's the last one to escape the base, and he's doing all of his tricks because Quill's the craftiest son of a bitch in the Guardians. He's always finding a way. But when what you're talking about, when he's in the mid atmosphere trying to get to the rest of the Guardians in space, and he starts to freeze up like Yondu, you're like, okay, he's gonna get out of this. He's got out of this before, and you keep seeing him freeze more and more, and you see his freaking face get swollen and frozen. You could hear the audience in the theater collectively gasp in horror.
Yeah, I
like,
heard.
Oh
it.
shit!
I heard that.
They're gonna kill off Quill like this. Like this is gonna be our last image of Quill is a frozen, swollen face in space. But that's where Adam Warlock came in and did something useful.
But did you think he was were you part of that? Did you think he was gonna die?
Yes.
I
Okay.
thought someone had to die.
Yeah.
Were you Chris? You thought he was gonna die?
I thought he was. Yeah.
All right, I'm with you guys. I thought that was it.
I thought that was
somebody
it.
had
I
to
mean, what
die.
you see his freaking face swell up like that, like a rock. It's like, holy shit.
I was
He's
waiting for
going
someone
back,
to
yeah.
die.
Yeah, that's how I was too. I was waiting for the big sacrifice, but there was none. There was no big sacrifice. But Adam Warlock, he's fighting the Guardians. I forgot how he gets injured or everything, but he passes out and ends up saving the Guardians and Peter Quill because they didn't kill him. They saved Adam Warlock as well. But yeah, that was the end action of all of that. All the Guardians defeat the High Evolutionary. They take his base out after the High Evolutionary killed all of his crew and just went completely batshit crazy. Which, like I said, I keep saying that's what I like about the High Evolutionary. He was just an evil bastard. There's no sympathizing with him. He was a bad guy. That's what you need in a villain sometimes. You don't need to sympathize with them. You just need to hate them. So I'm glad that High Evolutionary got his due. But yeah, was there anything else before we just wrap up the ending and that?
I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean, you could talk about the ending, how it kind of summarizes what direction they're all going to go in.
Yeah, but is there anything else in like the action or anything and all that before we want to go and wrap things up? I'm trying to think.
for me, it was the telekinesis of Cosmo because I sure as hell did not throughout the whole movie. It's like, why do we have this character here? I mean, it was a kind of that. I get the whole inside joke, but then you see him, the dog, pulled together using that telekinetic power to for that everybody can cross over. So he actually played a purpose.
Yeah, and also the Kraglin. I like Kraglin's little arc too because he's been struggling with Yondu's powers with the arrow whistle, and he finds his strength at the end because we did get a cameo from Michael Rooker as Yondu. When High Evolutionary sends all his forces to nowhere, they're tearing shit up, and then Kraglin, sees Yondu and he says, "You gotta use your heart, kid, when you're whistling using this arrow," and that's what he does. And he learns the way of the little flying arrow device. So I did like that. We got to see Yondu one last time. So,
yeah.
All right, and then let's just wrap it up. We get the Guardians won yet again, and we didn't lose one person. They're all on nowhere, and immediately they all want to part ways, which it's like, can we just relax a little bit? We just went through a whole ordeal. Maybe let's not part ways just yet. Let's take a little vacation. But no, they're like, we're splitting up. Like Mantis wants to find herself. Peter Quill,
he's going home.
Mantis lays it on him like there's more out there for you. Your grandpa might still be out there. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to take a break. Gamora's gone. She's never coming back. And this new Gamora isn't, who he wanted her to be. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go home and see my grandpa. So he does.
I do like the last line of Gamora and Peter Quill, where she kind of stands behind him, and I think it was cool how she gave him the closure that he's looking for. Because anybody who's had a bad breakup knows that you kind of look for closure, and she kind of says to him like, I bet we were fun. And he goes, yeah, something like that, like we were, and then she walks away. So it's kind of like, yeah, I like that, especially in this story, because we were all kind of wondering, at least I was wondering, if they're going to bring Gamora back, if the love story is going to continue, and they end it like that, like she's never going to be that Gamora, and Peter finally accepts that his Gamora is gone, and he can move on to the next part of his life.
Yeah.
So I like that scene.
Yeah. So we had closure to their relationship. And then we had who else stayed behind? I mean,
Nebula
Nebula's
and
just
Drax stayed.
yeah, but they're
Nebula's
just
running
staying
the place.
behind to rebuild nowhere.
Drax is going to be the dad.
Quill passes the captain's mantle to Rocket.
Mhm.
So Rocket gets his Rocket's always been arguing that he's the captain, and he's always called Peter Quill. But if you watch this movie, he's always calling him Pete and stuff. So it's like the evolution.
Groot stays behind too.
Yeah, and you've seen the evolution of their friendship and everything with Rocket and Peter Quill. They're not butting heads for the number one spot. Rocket kind of just accepted him as the captain. So it's kind of surprising when, Peter gives him the captain's mantle and Rocket's kind of surprised by it. But Rocket's the new leader of the Guardians.
Before they said all goodbye, Groot finally said something, I don't know. He said, "I love you guys." So I thought, I don't know how you guys feel. Is that just something that he says, or is it something like breaking the fourth wall? Like we finally understand what he's saying, because maybe everybody else would hear "I am Groot," but because we kind of like them, they finally understand his language. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but maybe it was like, hey, the audience can finally understand Groot's language. I don't know. I was trying to be quick. Huh?
Yeah, I don't think they were trying to go that deep with it. I think they just wanted to show that Groot finally evolved, and grew, and he said something else besides "I am Groot." I don't think they were just trying to break.
That sucks. I think that sucks.
Yeah, no,
I would have liked it if we were like the audience was breaking the fourth wall, and the audience, we finally.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it that way. Yeah.
I mean, they could have really broke the fourth wall and have him say, "I love you guys. You're my family." Straight up, Dominic Toretto.
That's why I did not like. That's why I did not like this good, because I cannot. I just keep waiting for Vin Diesel family. It's all about family.
We'll all fly away together into the forever and beautiful sky.
Yep, so the Guardians are done. And I like that, like you guys said, I liked how we wrapped up everything that these characters have gone through. And if you think about it, all these characters were ripped apart from their normal lives. Like Star-Lord was ripped from his childhood, along with Nebula and Gamora. They didn't get to have a childhood. Drax lost his family. Mantis was taken by Ego and, had a role to play. So she didn't have a childhood. So all these characters kind of were ripped from normal lives and found each other. But like every family, you gotta, spread your wings and get out of the nest yourselves and find yourself. So that's where the Guardians are now at this point. Will we see them ever again together, like the OG Guardians? I'd say so. Disney likes money. So if you want to, if you have these characters,
minus Drax.
Minus Drax. Yeah, I can see him returning though. I can see everyone returning.
He says he's done.
If James Gunn returns in the future, once he's taking a break from DC, I could 100% see everyone coming back.
Minus Gamora. She's out too.
You could come back too.
She said she was done. Yeah, she said she was done.
But are they ever really done?
I think they're done.
Money talks, so we'll see.
Money talks, and so do fans. But we'll see. But I'll give my rating for the Guardians. It's the same as my non-spoiler review. I don't know why I can't rate it a little bit higher. I think it's because it was more of a dark, serious story compared to Volume 1 and 2. So I'll stick with my score. I'll leave it at a 9.2 out of 10. Gus?
I'm going to go 9.5 on this one.
Ooh.
It was a whole point up there. Yeah, because I gave you guys, it was like an 8.5.
It was hanging on an 8 until the mid-credit scene.
And then I said, let me just wait for the end scene.
8.9. It was 8.9.
He was at 8.9. You're telling me the mid-credit scene bumped you up
I said, I got to wait for the end credit scene, because if Kang shows up, it's going to go even lower. Right now, it's 8.9. But I'm going to go, 9.5, because the end credit scene was no Kang. Perfect end game sort of ending for everybody. Star Lord had his moments with he's coming back and all that stuff. So yeah, it was good. And then I just thinking overall as Guardians, like you said, oh yeah, I know you said it holds a special place for you. Guardians of the Galaxy kind of brought me back to Marvel because I lost faith after I saw Avengers. Avengers to me it still sucked. I'm on record for saying that the Avengers movie sucked for me, and I went away from it, and Guardians came out, and I was like, oh, this is actually really fun. It goes back to it. So nice ending for everybody, and especially James Gunn.
Yeah, I would give it I'm gonna stick with my original rating of 9.0. I don't know why I can't rate it higher, but I guess maybe my reasoning is that 1 and 2 still might be better for me. So that's why I stick with this 9.0, which is still great in my book anyways. So
yeah, 9 and above across the board from us. And like you said, Chris, you know what's the shitty part about going from volumes 1 and 2 to volume 3? You can't just go from volume 1, volume 2, volume 3 because there's so much stuff that happens in between. You got to get caught up on Infinity War, you got to get caught up on Endgame, and you could watch the Christmas special if you want to, which I do. But yeah, so that's kind of the bummer. I guess that's another reason why I would rate it a little lower because there's so much in between volume 2 to volume 3 that you need to be caught up on in order to get the full satisfaction of volume 3. But,
I guess that's why my rating is so high because I am caught up, boys.
I mean, we're all caught up.
I've seen it all, including the holiday special, which you haven't. Always, so stop.
I did see the special.
Did you? When did you see a special?
I saw it during Christmas. I just
you
waited
did not.
a little bit.
I told you not. You said you weren't going to watch it.
If you go back in the beginning, I said I didn't want to watch it on December 1st. I had to build up my Christmas spirit to watch it. And I think I watched the Guardians Christmas special like
yesterday.
3 times.
You watched it yesterday.
Bullshit. I watched it. All right, everyone. You're talking to Dustin, who's
Did you watch it, Chris? Have you watched this holiday?
I did not watch it. No, not yet. No.
Chris didn't watch it.
Disney Plus, dude. I need to get it.
But Dustin's calling me out. This guy binged the whole Marvel series during the pandemic and acts like he's been there since day one.
I was there since Iron Man. I was there since Iron Man. And then I left because Avengers sucked ass. And then I came back during the pandemic and I watched the entire timeline.
You're not a
gave it a shot. And I skipped. And even when I binged it, I skipped Avengers again because it still sucked ass to me.
You weren't
I watched the entire timeline except Avengers.
You weren't there through the thick and thin, through the ups and downs. You took the easy way out.
Nope.
You binged it. You know, me and
millions of people binged it during the pandemic. There was nothing to do with the pandemic.
It took Dustin a global pandemic and being locked down in his house.
You guys have given up
on Marvel.
You guys have given up on Marvel. You haven't watched any of the shows. You're all about DC. You have not watched anything on Disney Plus about the new shows coming up. Which, by the way, I'll go on record. I'll be with you guys. This will be the best Marvel can do this year. It's only May. This is the best Marvel can do.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean,
the shows that are coming out this summer and the Marvels that are coming, the last movie that's coming out, the Marvels. Yeah. It's not gonna. I mean, I'm gonna say the closest thing to Guardians will probably be Loki season 2. That's it.
Which is, I think October. They have a official release date. I think it's coming out in October.
Okay, Loki season 2 will probably be the closest thing to Guardians, but Guardians will be the top of this year, and everything else past Marvel for this year is just going to be bottom shelf. So yeah, it's not.
Yeah. Hey, that's surprising coming from Disney. If you're hearing Dustin say this, he's a Marvel drone. He'll watch any shit you guys pump out. So
I will.
So if this guy,
too thick and thin, Chris, too thick and thin.
Yeah, if this fan is saying that your lineup is weak, you need to fix your shit because this guy will consume any Marvel product.
Well, we all watched Ant-Man and high expectation. We all just got bummed out. Yeah. So
you know how that ended.
And you guys know it. Just moving forward in the phase 5 of Marvel here, you got Guardians, and then after Guardians, what do we got? So
we were gone for quite a while. But no matter what happens next, the galaxy still needs its Guardians.
All right, that's we kind of went off the rails there at the end, but as usual. But all right, guys, before we check out this review, is there anything else we want to let out there to the world before we check out? Chris,
I'm gonna say Nothing for Chris.
Good.
Chris is
I'm
good?
gonna say, like we just said, this is the best. So you have to be really excited what James Gunn is gonna bring to DC. Consider he probably just delivered one of the best franchises for Marvel, and probably the best movie of Marvel for 2023. So what's he gonna bring for DC is gonna be amazing.
Yeah, we'll see how where the Guardians trilogy ranks amongst trilogies in the MCU within itself. We'll see. You got the Iron Man trilogy, Thor trilogy, Guardians trilogy, Ant-Man trilogy, Captain America has a trilogy.
I think it's better than all of them, honestly. Maybe,
Yeah.
like, I mean, think about it, dude. Like, yeah,
Spider-Man, you get
Guardians of the
Spider-Man.
Galaxy 1 better than Thor 1, better than Captain America 1, better than, those movies kind of suck.
But it's better than Iron Man 2 and 3. We're
Oh, yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
sub.
Civil War, Captain America, Civil War, and Winter Soldier. Were actually
Thor,
like,
yeah.
those
Yeah,
Thor
movies
number 2
better than-
sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Guardians of the Galaxy is the best trilogy of the Marvel franchise, probably followed by Captain America.
Yeah.
Captain America trilogy, but it's the end of the Guardians for now. Will we see them again? They say we'll see Star-Lord again. Will we see the rest of them? Probably. So that's a comforting thought, is that this isn't the end of the Guardians. They'll be back some way. And so will we, folks. And that's our review, our lengthy spoiler talk of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Chris is floating off into space. Say goodbye to him.
Ain't no Adam Warlock gonna find you, dude.
Yeah,
Just
you better
freeze.
hope
Just
Adam
freeze
Warlock
and blow
finds
up.
All
That's
right,
it.
bye, Chris. Dustin, thank Dustin for joining me once again. If you like this video, post it in the comment section down below. Chris is going farther, so please post that in the comment section. Hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel as well if you like what we do. And we've completely lost Chris. He's gone. No, he's back. But all right, everyone, that's the video. We'll see you all next time. See ya.